Luke chapter 6, verse 27. Are we there? Yeah. But I say to you who hear, love your enemies. Yeah. Do good to those who hate you. Yeah. Bless those who curse you. Yeah. Pray for those who mistreat you. Whosoever hits you on the cheek, offer him the other also. And whosoever take your coat, do not withhold your shirt from him either. Give to everyone who asks of you, and whoever take away what is yours, do not demand it back. Treat others the same way you want to be treated. If you love those who love you, what credit is that for you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that for you? Even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners in order to receive back the same amount. Verse 35, it says, but love your enemies and do good and lend expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be the son of the Most High, for he himself is kind to ungrateful and evil men. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. You may be seated. Dr. Douglas, I want to talk from the subject, if loving you is right, I don't want to be wrong. Is that all right? So, Sister Phillips, do you know anybody, perhaps someone here, have anyone ever fell in love with the wrong person? Now, if you still with them, sit by and just look straight ahead. Don't want to cause no trouble. You got the kids listening, they need grown folks for that one anyway. Anybody ever fell in love with the wrong person? You fell in love after you found out they was married? You fell in love, and after you got pregnant, you decided to take some time off. Y'all ain't gonna help me this morning. I just wonder if anybody Deacon Hawkins fell in love with the wrong, fell in love after he realized she was a manic bipolar and refused to take medication. And she was immune to slashing tires and scratching cars. Have you ever fell in love after it was too late and you realize her last two husbands died and she's still in her 50s and they never found the cause of death? I'm not talking about nobody. I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Have you ever fell in love with the wrong person? Maybe you haven't. But Luther Ingram in 1972, he fell in love with somebody else's love. And he said, if loving you is wrong, y'all know about it. Y'all was shouting a minute ago when y'all was all in some spirit and little Joseph were talking about it. He said, if loving you is wrong, yeah, there you go, that came out. So the verse, he talked about how he was in an adulterous affair. How he was going to go against his mom and his papa. And he said, if I can't see you when I want you, help me, Brother Aaron. folks that'll love you back. But see, always loving folks that'll love you back won't get you into heaven. But the challenge for us, Sister Richards, today is to love folks that don't care nothing about you. I'm not talking about seeing your love. I'm talking about seeing Jesus. And sometimes in order to see God, we got to love folks that you really don't want to love. If they're not close to you, they are not in the church today, they're in your cousin's church. There's some folks you know that don't care anything about you, but if you're going to shout in heaven, you got to love everybody. I stop by to tell you that the message is not about a relationship between man and woman. It's a relationship between everybody. Because as believers, this is how believers must conduct themselves. And it's amazing how God can use the physician by the name of Luke to tell us how God can switch some stuff around. It's easy to hate folks that hate you, but if you are a child of God, God tells Luke to tell us you to switch that thing around, because if they hate you, your job as believer is to love them. Do I have anybody here that say, if that's what it takes for me to see Jesus, all I'm trying to say is that loving you is right. I don't want to be wrong. I may not feel good about it. I may not want to, but if I want to see Jesus for myself, do I have anybody here that says, oh, but I got to do it? It may not be fair, but it's what God said to do. You got to love those. Brother, I don't care how much they stole from the car wash. You still got, matter of fact, Luke said if they take your coat, give your shirt also. If they slap the rouge off Mr. Johnson on one cheek, the Bible said turn and give him the other cheek. I see some of y'all just kick your shoes off when how do you want to get that part? Y'all had tore that part out the Bible. But if we're going to be the Christian that God called us to be in 2015 that we shout about, it's more than being able to speak in tongues. It's more than giving a good offering. More than running around. We got to be able to love one another. Do I have anybody here that know if loving you is right? Because Jesus loved me when I slapped him on one cheek. And he gave another. Jesus loved me when I let it down. Jesus loved me when I didn't do what I should have done. Anybody here know that despite you, Jesus still loved you? Because the text said he had mercy. He is merciful and grateful even to evil men. Our text today, Jesus teaches about loving your enemies. It's easy to love when love is in the atmosphere. Thanksgiving, we give out turkeys and baskets. Christmas, we give out fruit baskets. But what about the other 10 months? If I'm hungry in November and December, I'm still hungry in January through September, October too. Don't just show with flowers in February. You got to love all the time, not just folks that pat you on the back. But you got to love folks that stab you in the back. I'm talking to it's not for everybody. It's just for the believers today. And as God speaks to Luke here, he starts off this chapter by the Pharisees trying to hem Jesus up by doing what was right. It is not till you really make your mind up you're going to do what's right. Some folks going to really start hating you. It was on the Sabbath day that Jesus and the disciples walked through a field, and they was hungry, and they got some grain of corn and rubbed together and began to eat. And they be saying, are you going to work on the Sabbath day? Listen, I don't care when you're working for the Lord, keep on working. And so don't you remember what David did? David went into the temple and got some showbread and fed this man. That wasn't according to custom, but you want to condemn me for what's doing right. There would be some people that would condemn you just for doing the right thing. We live in a society where people would rather see wrong than see right. People will applaud your wrongdoing and turn their head when you're doing wrong, but condemn you for doing the right thing. If you're going to do what's right, you got to do what's right in the sight of God and not man, because God gives the blessing. Man cannot bless you or put you in heaven and hell. If you want to please anybody, be like the disciples, say, I'd rather please God. Four things I want to give this morning. First thing, the point number one, love your enemies. Love your enemies. The identifying mark of God's people is love. It's not a t-shirt. It's not a bracelet saying, what would Jesus do? It's not having a tag that says, I'm blessed. It's not you leaving a long message on your voicemail when you used to say, I'm not home, leave a message, and now you quote scripture, speak in tongue, and by the time they get to the beat, they done forgot what they called for. No, that's not the sign of a true Christian. The sign of a true Christian is love. And it's easy to love folks that love you, but if you really want to impress the world by letting them know that you got love in your heart, is to love your enemies. Do I have anybody here say it was hard, but I had to do it because I wanted to please God? And I didn't want to do it, but because I want to see Jesus for myself, I have to love those that despitefully use, not just use me, but despitefully use me and mistreat me. If you want to see God, I'm talking to folks that want to make it to heaven, you got to love your enemies. In John 13, 34 and 35, Jesus said, a new commandment I give you. And he said, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, men will know that you are my disciple if you love one another. If we're going to be believers in this day and age, Sister Deborah, we got to love one another. We cannot convince folks with another program. We cannot convince the masses by our intellect. If we're going to convince people that we are true believers, we got to love our enemies. Do anybody here have any enemies in here? I wish this wasn't the place, but even in the body of believers, you got somebody that don't like you. It's not always your enemies there. Sometimes you got folks in your family that don't like it, people on your job that don't like it, people in your community that don't like it. But because you are the child of God, you got to still love your enemy. Do I have anybody here that say, because I want to see God, not because I want to do it for others, but because I want to see God, I got to love my enemies. I'm not making it up, but Luke said, but I say to you, love your enemies. Do good to those that hate you, and bless those who curse you, and pray for those that mistreat you. Oh, Luke was telling us, Mr. Smith, you got to love them. And matter of fact, God will put people in your place to show you who you need to love the most. The people that raise the most hell around you, that's who you need to love the most. Don't get on the other side of the sidewalk. Go give them some love. Just go give them so much love, because that's what God teaches us to do, because he said, bless those that curse you. And see, you can tell folks curse you, not because they cuss you out, but see, they can curse you at the dinner table and you're not even there. And the Spirit of God will teach you that this is who you need to love right here. And by you loving them, you can help show them that this is what love is all about. Some people can't love because they never experienced love for themselves. So if you don't show love as a believer, how can they love others? It's easy to love the folks in your house. But how can you love the folks that trying to tear down your house? This is what Jesus said to the disciples as they had to confront the disciples, confront the Pharisee, as he teach the disciples. He's not trying to convert or teach the Pharisee, but believers. If you are my believers, you are disciples, the first thing you got to do is love your enemies. Tremont, love your enemies. Love folks that done you wrong. Love folks that have hurt you. Love folks that have criticized your name. Love folks that have scandalized you. Love folks that have called you everything but a child. Love folks that talked about your children. You got to learn to love them. And if we're going to bless God, we got to bless him by loving our enemies. Number two, you got to do good to those that hate you. Anybody know folks hate you for no reason? People that hate you for no reason. And see, if you do good to those folks, the seeds you plant for them will grow in your life somewhere. And see, the reason I plant good seeds, Brother Tom, is because I may never see the crop, but I got some boys that's coming behind me. I got some girls that have to go off to school somewhere and have to be in a dorm or may go to a party somewhere and daddy won't be around. I need to make sure I plant good seeds, because even though I tell them not to do certain things, but when they get away from home like you did, you go do everything you want to do also. So you got to make sure you plant good seeds. That's why it's important to do good to those that hate you. It's hard to do good to folks that set traps for you. But Brother Devontae, I realized the trap they set for me because I'm doing good by them. They fall in the trap themselves. And so I don't have to worry about fighting battles that doesn't belong to me, because the battle belongs to the Lord. Our job is to do good to those that hate you. Jesus began to dig deep down into this energy that we call love by loving those that hate us. See, it's easy to love folks that like you. But can you love those that have came against you, those that go against the grain of everything that you say or do? That's where Jesus wants his life to be seen, when you can love your enemies and those that hate you. That's what he says in the text. It says, bless those who curse you and pray for those that mistreat you. And whoever hits you on your cheek, off your other cheek. You got to hate somebody that hit them on the cheek. At least at that moment. And a lot of times they don't physically hit you on the cheek. They can do it other ways. But God said, love them anyhow. They hit you on the cheek by getting you fired off your job, by telling what you done, to cover up what they done. People hit you on the cheek by lying, stealing, and cheating, and we do it together, but you don't want to get caught in. And you got to understand, people will hit you on the cheek by using and abusing. You got to understand, you still got to love those that hate you. That's a challenge for most of us, because we have taught to love those that love and hate those that hate. But at some point, we got to change the trend. Teach our children, even teach ourselves, to love those that hate you, because the battle belongs to God. If you're trying to fight God's battle, God will step out the way. I'm going to challenge you today as believers that you got to love those that hate you. I don't care where they live, where they stay, or what they done, you still got to love them. Am I saying something this morning? It's a challenge for us, because many times hate go beyond last week. Hate goes back to the 80s. There's some hate from the 70s in here. Hate from the 60s, but guess what? If you're going to make it to heaven, you got to love those that hate you. Number 3, bless those that curse you. Words have the power. They go deeper than bullets. When I was a little boy, Deacon Garden, we sang a song, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a lie. I never had a stick or stone to break my bone, but I've been hurt by some words. It may be a joke for you, but it can tear down somebody's family. It may be just something to laugh about, thank you, but it can destroy somebody's spirits and hope. Words can destroy folks, and words can keep folks out of church. Words have folks that don't want to show up to the dinner. Words have folks that won't go to mama's house or go to the sister's house or go back on their job that pay their bill. Words hurt. But God teaches us today that to bless those that curse you. As believers, you got to learn to bless those that not only curse you, but curse you. That's what the text says. It says, bless those that curse you and pray for those that mistreat you. If you're going to be blessed, you got to do the right thing. You doing the right thing is not contingent on how they, you're doing the right thing contingent on your relationship with God. In other words, you don't wait for them to respond. You do what's right because you are a child of God. That's why I can love my enemies like they done nothing wrong. That's why you can talk to me one way today and I hug you tomorrow, because I realize the battle does not belong to me and I want to see God for myself. I cannot hold on to past hurt, pain, or mistreatment, but because I want to see God for myself, and I must love my, do I have anybody that love your co-workers because you're a child of God? Love your family members because you're a child. Love those that they use you when they didn't have a car and now they got a car and won't even blow the horn at you when you're walking. Those that when they needed food, you put food on their table, took them to the store, gave them a ride, and now you need $1 for gas, they ride past you like they don't owe you nothing. I stop by as believers, we got to love those by blessing them. Sometimes you just send your enemies a thank you card. It worked. I go to the, what so-and-so send me a thank you card for? I ain't done nothing. They make you pray. They make you get close to God. They make you wait on God to turn some stuff around, because some of us have enemies that have been put in our lives to make us get close to God. Because if everybody like you, some of you wouldn't pray. Some of you wouldn't talk to the Lord, but every now and then God put a thorn in your flesh that cannot be removed, and God had to tell you, my grace is sufficient. So you got to bless those that curse you if you're going to see God for yourself. Words have power deeper than bullets. Mean spirit, hate, fear, profanity, and laden words can tear down our praise. But if you have God in your life, God is telling you to love them even though they have done, despite what they've done to you. Bless those that curse you. Jesus goes on teaching the disciples here. Not only does he teach about loving enemies and do good to those that hate you and bless those that curse you, but the fourth thing he tells us to do is pray for those who mistreat you. Because Jesus prayed for those that mistreat him so much that they beat him on Friday night. He prayed for those folks that took him from judgment hall to judgment hall. When did he pray for me? On the cross. When he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. There are some folks that if they knew who your daddy was, they wouldn't do the things they're doing to you on your job. And some people knew your relationship to God, they wouldn't talk to you the way they talk to you. That's why the Bible says pray for those that mistreat you. In other words, it's not a matter if folks going to mistreat you. It's just a matter when they're going to mistreat you. But your job is to pray for those that mistreat you. Everybody wants everybody to like you, but that's not the world we live in. There will be some folks that don't like you because you got a black suit like they had. There will be some folks that's mad at you right now because they came to church late and you parked in their spot. Sit in their seat on Sunday morning. People hate you for strange reasons. And there's some folks that hate you that you don't even know that hate you. But the Bible says, pray for those that mistreat you. You got, in other words, how are we to love and do good and bless those that mistreat us? Your heart has to be changed. You can't do either of four if your heart is not changed. You cannot have the same mindset and love enemies. You cannot have the same mindset and pray for those that do you. You cannot have the same. Your heart has to be changed. And that's something you can't learn at a workshop. Your heart, you can't learn this at another. You cannot learn this at seminary. You cannot learn it at Sunday school. God has to change your heart. Don't have anybody here that say, I may never go to seminary, may never go to the Sunday school conference, but God has changed my heart. And because God has changed my heart, I know a lot of you like to go get head knowledge. Head knowledge is good, but if you don't have no heart knowledge, you can quote the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, but I want God to change our heart. Because when God changed my heart, I can love those that do me wrong. when God changed my heart, I can love those that stab me. Do I have anybody here that say, I know God has changed my heart? Because if it wouldn't have changed my heart, I wouldn't be sitting where I'm sitting right now. I wouldn't be living where I'm living right now, because God has changed my heart. Matter of fact, if God hadn't changed my heart, I wouldn't have the praise that I have right now. Do I have anybody here got a praise because God done changed my heart? When you hold on and harbor sin, hatred, and mistrust, you are the one that's losing out on life. The person that you can't forgive don't even know you got a problem with them. I stopped by to tell somebody in 2015, it's time to let it go. Love your enemies, because Jesus loved you when you was a wretched done, a sinner headed for a graveyard hell. God reached way down in a sea of sin and picked you up. Do I have anybody here that God has changed your heart? And because God has changed your heart, you can say, I can love somebody else. He loved me when I was a sinner. When I didn't do right, he still loved me. Do I have anybody here that know God loved you enough that because he loved you enough, you gonna love somebody else? If God loved you today, why can't you love those that done you wrong? Love those that's mistreated you. Love your enemies. Love those that have cursed you. You got to realize that the battle is not yours, but the battle belongs to the Lord. It may be your boss. It may be your family member. It may be your friend. But I thank God that he loved me enough that I can lift my head up and say, thank you for giving me another chance. And if God gave you another chance, why can't you give them another chance? Yes, they messed up. Yes, they let you down. Yes, they hurt your feelings. But guess what? We got all that and more to our God. And God has given us another chance. So if loving my enemy is right, I don't want to be wrong. Talk about me and say, if I was you, I would love them. I'm glad I'm not you, because you don't know like I know what the Lord has done for me. And because he's been that good to me, I got to love everybody. I don't care what color you are. I don't care your political party. I don't care what school you came from. I don't care what state you live in. I got to love everybody. Do I have anybody here that say, I want to see Jesus bad enough that I'm going to love my enemies. I'm going to forgive my husband. I'm going to forgive my children. I'm going to forgive my mama. I'm going to forgive my boss. I'm going to forgive those around me, because I want to see God for myself. I don't need it on my resume. It ain't got to be in my autobiography. But if God can say, well done, that good and faithful servant, that's enough for me. And because Jesus loved those that whipped him one Friday night, because Jesus loved those that put him in the grave, because Jesus loved those that he died for, he loved them so much that he got up on Sunday morning with all power in his hand. That's how much he loved us. He got up that we can have a right to the tree of life. If he loved me and he loved you, why can't you love somebody else? So Cooper, sometimes we just skip over that part, because there's some Christians that encourage hate. That's something we should be able to talk to, Deacon Carter. If you are a believer, matter of fact, Paul told the church at Corinth, you should be able to work out some stuff. You shouldn't have to take it downtown because you believers. Why would you get unbelievers to settle a dispute between believers? Paul discouraged suing one another. Listen, we don't sue each other, we believers. See, we're not like the world. You know why Walmart got wet floor signs in the bathroom when the floor dry? They cover themselves. Just in case somebody slip and fall and no cameras in there. People are always trying to find a way out. A quick come up. But if you want a quick come up, trust God. sue nobody. And see, you sleep good at night when you forgive folks.
Yeah.
Conflict resolution. There's a lot of folks in here that been in church all their life that hadn't even spoke to each other in the last 10 years. I met my family this year. We met at Thanksgiving time and we said, listen, Daddy gone. When Mama leave here, I ain't fighting over nothing. I didn't pick not narrow piece of cotton in these fields out here, so if I don't get a grain of dirt, I didn't work for none of it. We are a family. As a church, we're a family. We should be able to conduct ourselves because when we get to heaven, our brother Drew's not going to be a white side and black side. Matter of fact, I ain't going to be Alabama fans and Georgia fans. It's going to be believers there. And if we can't love folks here, as Mama say, pray tell me, how we going to love folks in heaven? And when we can't love as adults, we teach these babies back here not to love. I was messing with Digger Parker the other night. He was opening the door for Sister Parker. He said, well, Pastor, I got one of the wives that she'll stand there and wait. So I have to open the door. I do it every now and then. I'm thinking about it. But Digger Parker said, Sister Parker will not get in the car unless I open the door. Amen. I told Digger Parker, she done taught you well. She told him, it's your job to open the door. It's our job to teach folks to love. When the Amish family was killed a few years back, the dad and the rest of the family came out and said, we forgive him. Because they had been taught to forgive from a child. We cannot hold on to stuff because this year, some of you not going to make it to C16. Some of us won't be here this time next year. And let us not leave here with hatred on our heart. Let us not leave here with unforgiveness on our heart. Let us work while day because night is coming. So Tremont, is loving you is right. I don't want to be wrong. To my enemies, if loving you is right, I don't want to be wrong. Call the newspaper and tell them I said I want to love you. I don't care what they say about you. I love you. That's why I make it a practice. You see me, I shake Deacon Scott's hand. And see, when I say there's no funny stuff because I don't have that in me. I'm going to tell all my deacons, I love you, I love you. And some people, I just can't say it. Say it.
I love it.
When you secure your manhood, you ain't talking about no funny stuff. I tell everybody in here, I love them, but I'm in love with one in here. Amen? So, we got to learn to love one another. And tell folks, look at your neighbor and tell I love you. Just tell them right now. You say, it sounds simple. But the church can't tell folks they love them. The reason I did it because some people left the house and hadn't heard that all day. So no, I'm not Luther England. I'm Quentin Martin. wrong. Love your enemies. And as bad as it hurts us to walk, we got to love those that don't love us. Let's give God a hand praise this morning.